Well, I will begin by really just very briefly just letting you know what the Anglo-Bolivian Society is about. We were founded, it was set up on the 15th of May in 1992 as an association promoting social, cultural and commercial relations in and between Bolivia and the United Kingdom. And the founders were, the first president was Major General Gary Prado Salmon, the Bolivian ambassador to the UK at that time. The vice president was the Right Honourable Baroness Hooper, who is with us today.
Yes.
There she is, oh, there she is, behind me. And then we have Viscount Montgomery, who sadly passed away a couple of years ago. The Executive Council early members were Chairman Michael Elmer, who is with us today. There's Michael Elmer. Chairperson Valerie Pfeiffer, who also passed away. Vice Chairman Peter Lewis Crown, who couldn't attend today. Treasurer Michael Kerwin. We were expecting him to come today, he'll probably come a little bit later. And of course, General Secretary, it's our dear friend, Moises Mendoza. There he is, yes. So, we then have, if we take a now fast forward to the ABS today, we have a current council in which I am chairman. There's Kate Ford. Hello. She's the co-chair and membership secretary. We have Alberto Subirón, Digital Media Secretary. Zihan Jin, who's our Secretary General. Magali here?
Yes, she is.
Yes, Magali Chablier is Treasurer. Edward Guzman, who's here with us as well, Communications Secretary. And Peter Lewis Crown OB is a former Vice Chair and permanent honorary member. So I'd just like to give you an idea of what our pre-COVID activities were, if you remember. And that was, we had a lot of face-to-face presentations at Senate House, at the Institute of Latin American Studies, for example. We organized a conference on revolutions in Bolivia, and also to lead by obeying authoritarianism in Bolivia's coca growers' unions. Just a bit of a contrast. And then films like Boquerón about the Chaco War, or Viernes de Soltero, like today, for example, Viernes de Soltero, and Altiplanos, yeah? Do you know what Viernes de Soltero is about? Well, you need to watch the film if you don't already know. And at the end of the evening, you can really go to town with Viernes de Soltero. Then we had a joint presentation with Bolivian Embassy on Bolivia's sovereign access to the Pacific, given by former President Carlos Mesa. And then, of course, we had, on a yearly basis, we had our annual summer picnic in Regent's Park. We didn't have it this year, but it was dry. You know, it was just really a good ambience for a picnic. Presentations, monthly online presentations, more or less monthly, every 6 weeks, in English and Spanish. So we have this opportunity. And to and from Bolivia, which we were not able to do before. So there's been a slight change, as a result of during COVID. Examples, we gave a recent talk on Bolivia frente al remolino global y las convulsiones del régimen. I think that could be applicable to this country as well, you know. Art history of Bolivia today, a discussion from our dear friend Pedro Hasso and Valeria Paz, and we had a virtual talk by Fernando Montes, New Art Museum in La Paz, with John Montes giving the presentation. Then we had Land Above the Clouds with Marion Morrison, and also identifying globally important plant areas, IPs in the Chiquitania Benthic Garden of the Royal Botanic Gardens at Kew, who is with us today. Bete, welcome. Bienvenida. And then we have Brits in Bolivia, bits and pieces by Alan Shave. And we have video recordings of all these talks if you want to have a look at them. We've increased our membership. We paid up members are around about 130. We hope that those of you who haven't joined will join now and increase our number of paid up members. Facebook, 530. You can also join on Facebook. They're not the same kind of members, but it'll also increase our count. And we have friends around about 600. You could also become friends. So there's a bit of a mix and match there between all the different categories of membership that we have. And our website is, as you know, Anglo-Bolivian Society.org. Now, one of the things that we did during the pandemic, during lockdown, is that we set up the British Bolivian community. And the objectives were, it was founded in April 2020, and it involved the Anglo-Bolivian Society, the British scholars, the Chevening alumni, and the Anglo-Bolivian Committee. So there were four organizations, one in the UK and 3 in Bolivia, but all connected with the UK. And the idea was to generate and establish a network of connections and contacts that encouraged the individual and community development of BB community. At one stage, people wanted to call it BBC. And we said, no, BBC is something different. So it's British Bolivian community members and support their actions. And to facilitate and contribute to cultural exchange and dialogue between the United Kingdom and Bolivia. And promote and enhance institutional development of different groups. And develop innovative commercial, institutional, and non-governmental ventures between both countries. Yeah, the GoFundMe campaign, we were to raise funds to supply personal protective equipment, that is face masks, to protect frontline medical staff in Bolivia due to rising death rates, and we raised over $9,000 for that. We distributed PPE face masks, the group, that is, in hospitals, laboratories, to vulnerable people in La Paz, El Alto, Rurrenabaque, Cobija, Guayana Medir, Riberalta, Montero. And we had the support of the British Embassy and Friends of Bolivia as well, who gave us support. And the British Bolivian Community Digital Hub was set up to manage the communication strategy, out of which we have this logo that we made connecting, showing the points between the UK and Bolivia. And later on today, we're going to present community honours and certificates will be awarded today to all those who played a key role in that campaign. So we start the proceedings now. I just wanted to mention, I made reference to General Gary Prado, who was the founder, and I got a message from General Gary Prado this morning, and in which he says, do you want it in English or in Spanish?
En español.
In español? Okay, in español, here we go. Mensaje del general Gary Prado, presidente fundador de la Anglo-Bolivian Society en 1992 y ex embajador boliviano en el Reino Unido. Para Winston Moore y los miembros de la Anglo-Bolivian Society, un cordial abrazo al recordar 30 años de cuando iniciamos este proyecto, hoy parte importante de las relaciones bilaterales. Lamento no poder participar activamente por razones de salud, pero estoy con ustedes en espíritu. Muchas gracias. We're going to proceed with the honorary awards, and I just want to give you a brief outline of what the ABS, Anglo-Bolivian Society Honorary Awards, are about. And I will read this bit. It says, the 30th Anniversary Anglo-Bolivian Society Honours Awards are being presented to individuals, groups, and organizations that have made an outstanding contribution to the promotion, integration, and welfare of members of the Bolivian community in the United Kingdom, and members of the British or affiliated communities in Bolivia in the areas of education, politics, business, publishing and communications, arts and culture, and social welfare. So we're going to proceed now to present the awards, and we have four people that will be receiving awards today. The first person to receive Anglo-Bolivian Society honorary award is Marcela Montes. Applause for her, please. Please come forward. I need to take your glass, I'm afraid. Because you need to receive your award.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
I think the Anglo-Bolivian Society has done and is doing a wonderful work, and congratulations to all of you.
Thank you very much, but it's with your support, of course, that we've achieved many of our objectives. Maybe you'd like to show your...
You should.
Okay. We have a citation for Marcela. Yeah, we're going to talk about you. Yeah, yeah. You get your award first, and then we'll talk about you. We got it. This should be the other way around. We'll talk about you. We'll talk about the other recipients, and then the award. Okay, here we go. This is Marcela Montes. Marcela de Villegas was born in La Paz and trained in ballet. In her teens, she danced in the National Ballet, performing both classical and contemporary repertoire. She then moved to the US, working first as a counselor for deprived children in Manhattan, before studying liberal arts at what is now the State University of New York at New Paltz. You didn't know we knew this, did you? Marcela was a pioneer of Bolivia's London diaspora. She sent here in 1959 to escort her younger sister to her new English school. She stayed. Fernando Montes, with whom whom she had known in La Paz, followed her a year later. There are many people following her, actually, still now. And they married in December 1960 and made their home in a flat in Kensington, in the heart of swinging 60s London. We'll hear all about that later on. Marcela worked as a private secretary and special advisor to the Colombian ambassador. 2 children arrived in 1974. In 1974, the family moved to Wimbledon. They were great fans of tennis, and so they moved to Wimbledon. You can take the girl out of Bolivia, but in 1983, in response to widespread flooding in Bolivia, Marcela co-founded Amigos de Bolivia to raise funds for relief. The main beneficiaries now are children, old people, and disabled young people. Perhaps equally important in the early 80s was that by fundraising mainly through fiestas and salteñadas, Friends of Bolivia offered Bolivians in London cocina boliviana and dancing to live Bolivian music, and that continues to this day. Marcela served as its president for 7 years and remains involved as a trustee and committed member. In 2003, the Friends of Bolivia 20th anniversary, she organized a concert of Baroque music from the Jesuit missions of the Chiquitania, performed by Florilegium at the Wigmore Hall, introducing a London audience to mission Baroque music from Bolivia, then still a little known genre. From the time of her marriage to Fernando, Marcela supported him in his work and took on the logistics of all his exhibitions in London and abroad. Since Fernando's death in 2007, she has continued to promote his art and perpetuate his memory, most notably through the foundation of the Museo Fernando Montes in Sopocachi, it doesn't say that here, in La Paz in 2019. Marcela was one of the earliest members of the Anglo-Bolivian Society, joining it with Fernando in 1993, a year after it was founded, with the aim of encouraging interest in Bolivia among non-Bolivians. She has attended almost every event, including this one, of course, we've organized in the 9 years this council has been in office, and with this award, we salute you, Marcela. Un abrazo. Thank you. Thank you.
So I'll start with Peter Lewis Crown now, who most people in this room will know, because he was probably the best dressed member of the Anglo-Bolivian Society. An unlikely Bolivianista, he was persuaded to join first the new society in 1994, when the society was 2 years old, and later the council, in which he became a permanent fixture until his retirement a couple of years ago. I remember him telling me proudly that he never let anyone pass the door to a meeting without handing over their entrance money. You have to catch them as they come in, dear. It's no good if they promise they'll pay later. They don't. So Peter spent his entire working life at the London couture house La Chasse, dressing film stars and princesses from 1948, when he joined as an 18-year-old apprentice, till his retirement, by now its director, and the closure of the house in 2007. He taught fashion at Central St. Martin's School of Art for 40 years and lectured all over the world. He was also deeply involved in fundraising for a number of deserving causes. He became senior warden of the Guild of Freemen of the City of London, having been granted freedom of the city in 1978, and in 1998 he was awarded an OBE. Peter was a joy to have at council meetings. Years of greeting important clients at La Chasse meant he was always early and would relay jaw-droppingly amazing bits of gossip as we opened a bottle of wine while waiting for the others to turn up. Every so often we would hold a council meeting at his beautiful flat near Sloane Square, where we'd be fed on titbits from Harrods Food Hall. Sweet. In 2016, Peter, Kate McLean and I came, I think not here, I think it was the room next door, to listen to the report from the leader of a delegation from the Latin America All-Party Parliamentary Group, which had recently returned from Bolivia. Earnest observations were made about the tour by each of the participants, and then it was question time. But were the people happy, Peter asked, cutting through all the delegations speak. And at council meetings, as we'd planned talks about economics or politics, there'd be a mutter from Peter, what we need is a party. And tonight we have a party, and we are so sorry Peter isn't here, but we want to commemorate his years of service to Anglo-Bolivian relations with this award, which is over there, and we shall deliver it to him. And then my
Round of applause.
oh, round of applause, Peter, yes. And then the next person is Annie Kopenex,
She's on the phone.
who is on the
So
phone.
she's going to
Annie,
listen to it.
Annie, hello, and I'm so sorry you aren't here. But now I'm going to embarrass you. 2 weeks ago, Annie told me to get onto YouTube immediately, it was 8 o'clock in the morning, and watch the performance of the young Bolivian pianist she had cleared space for in her house, which of those of us who know her house will appreciate that that was quite something. He was taking part in a piano competition in Tbilisi in Georgia. He played, of course, with breathtaking skill and passion, but most importantly was wearing an aguayo waistcoat, so promoting Bolivian culture, something Annie has done tirelessly since arriving in London in the mid-60s and filling 2 houses in succession with Bolivian artifacts. And this is together with offering a home from home to any young visiting Bolivians passing through, wrapping them in a cocoon of Bolivianidad, cooking them food their abuelas cooked, and teasing them mercilessly. Almost from its inception in 1996, Annie was involved with Bolivia's Asociación Pro Arte y Culturas Festival de la Música Renacentista y Barroca, the biennial international music festival that takes place in the old Jesuit, well, the ex-Jesuit mission pueblos of the Chiquitos and Mojos missions. She was recruited for her languages and her people skills, rather than her musical knowledge, as she is the first to admit. We both spent ages trying to name the very well-known piece of music José Andrés Navarro played in the closing concert of the Tbilisi competition, a little-known piece, Beethoven's Emperor Concerto. But, you know, there we go. We can't all be good at music. In 2014, APAC in Santa Cruz created the Premio Annie Kopenex, to be awarded each year to a choir or orchestra for outstanding dedication and tenacity. And in the same year, Annie was herself awarded APAC's Hans Roth Prize. APAC is in Santa Cruz. Meanwhile, in London, Annie was busy with ALAF, the Anglo-Latin American Foundation, and with Friends of Bolivia. There were cookery demos, large-scale catering for Friends of Bolivia and events, and for an ALAF exhibition in Battersea Park in 1992, the construction of a replica mission to the Chiquitos church fachada, painted by Annie, on her dining room table. Annie joined the Anglo-Bolivian Society in 1992, always in the front row of talks, with interchangeable excuses about forgetting her glasses or her hearing aid. Annie could be relied on to ask a pertinent, offbeat question. And now we offer her our own award for perhaps I can quote from APAC, dedication and tenacity. Dear Annie, congratulations.
And the fourth award, could I please ask you to come a little bit forward and move away from the wine? Yeah, if I noticed that Jonathan Lee and his wife are here from the Anglo-Ecuadorian Society. I'd like to welcome you here. And also Michael Kerwin, I don't know if you were here when I mentioned your name.
Yes.
You were? Okay, I didn't see you then, but I'd like to welcome you as well. Yeah, thank you very much.
You weren't here when you mentioned it.
You weren't here, okay, because you were in the executive council, one of the early members, right? You were treasurer.
Yes.
Yeah, that's what we've got down here.
For 6 years.
For 6 years. Very good. You did very well. Okay, we have the Chevening students are arriving. They're going to be going on live soon. But I now want to present an honorary award for Amaro Villanueva Rance. 36-year-old Amaro inspired us as an Anglo-Bolivian example, son of the late Adrián Villanueva Gisbert an exceptional charismatic musician of Aymara Quechua indigenous heritage, and Susana Rance, an honorary visiting reader at the University of East London. Amaro in Quechua language and Katari in the Aymara are associated with a mythical serpent, or a dragon capable of transcending boundaries to and from the spiritual realm of the subterranean world. Amaru and Katari were the names of several indigenous leaders who staged uprising during Spanish colonial rule to recover their Andean culture and heritage. In Amaru we note the complementarity of opposite paradigms, be they English or Bolivian, Western or Andean, as something that characterizes the wisdom of Andean culture.